Alright, so we got 2 videos in one day, which is kind of unusual for me. But it just so happened that 2 projects kind of ended at the same time. So basically, what you're about to see is a little modification I made on my my 5E3. I've made a lot of mods to that amp, probably too many. I need to start using shielded cable because I can't turn any of them to the max or I get oscillation. Anyway, that's besides the point. This is a high gain channel mod for the 5E3, and hope you enjoy it. Alright, today I'm going to attempt doing a certain mod to this 5E3. And it's the Cascade mod. So we're going to feed one gain stage through another gain stage. On this board, there's actually places for me to go ahead and glue in extra turrets. You can see that little hole right there. So that's what I do. I drop some super glue in there and just put the turret in. So we might go ahead and do that while we're doing some research here. Alright, I tried gluing the turrets in there. We'll see if they stay. And basically what we're going to do first is we're going to separate these potentiometers. So you'll see here that we have this terminal hooking over to this terminal. We're going to go ahead and remove this red jumper wire first. That's going to be the first thing we do. Okay, that wire. There we go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this jumper wire. Now, you should have switchable jacks. The way to know if you have a switchable jack is there will be 2 pieces of metal here. And basically you've got your tip and your switch, and when they're connected together, the signal can run through both of them. So what's happening here is when a jack's not plugged in, the 2 pieces of metal touch. And because we have this jumper to ground, we have this piece of metal, which is connected to this tab, which is jumpered to ground, all signal being picked up by this tip piece of metal, all radio frequencies, will be transmitted to ground, which means we'll have less noise. So that's great and all, but in order to get this this mod working, we need to remove the jumper wire from this particular jack. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. There it is. Okay. We'll remove it from the other one too. Don't remove the resistor though. Okay. Ensure the other wires here are still in good condition, that you haven't pulled them out by accident. And we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so the next step is on this potentiometer right here. We're going to take this wire, the one on the far right hand side, and we're going to pull it out. Okay? We are then going to place it over here where our jumper wire was. So you might have a hole already there. Alright, so now that's in. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a wire from here to the switch terminal on this jack. Now, on Rob Robinette's site, it's recommended that a resistor goes there to control the gain. I'm going to see how it sounds without the resistor. Alright, I've got this new yellow wire going to this terminal here. Now we're going to go ahead and get this other wire, or the end of the wire, going to the switch terminal where we pulled the jumper out. So this will be a little bit tricky. Alright, you can now see the other end of this yellow wire is in the jack and goes to this volume pod here. Alright, so how does this work? I'll attempt to explain it. So the guitar signal comes in here. This comes, signal goes down to the board. It goes to the first grid of this tube here, and from the grid comes out of the plate through the first coupling cap, and that's when it goes to our first volume knob. from the volume knob, instead of going back to the phase inverter like it was, well, it's now going to go to this jack. And it's able to pass through the jack because, remember, these two elements of the jack are touching each other. So it's able to come through this piece of metal here and actually go into the bright jack. Now what this allows us to do is now the signal comes out of the bright jack as if a guitar was plugged into it, through the board, through the second gain stage, out of this next coupling cap to the second volume, and from the second volume it goes into the phase inverter. When we plug it in this other jack here, now these two pieces of metal aren't touching, so anything that comes through the switch terminal is not going to influence the bright channel. Also, anything that's coming from the guitar in the bright channel is not going to go through the switch back through this volume knob, so the two circuits are disconnected. So really this gain channel, the normal channel is now in a gain channel, and the bright channel should work as is. Alright, when you separate the cathodes of a dual child like this, you want to maintain the 22 to 25 microfarad bypass cap for each separated cathode, but you want to double the resistor value since the cathodes are no longer in parallel. And so this is an 820. Rob Robinette recommends a 1.5K. So I've got a 1.5K half watt around here somewhere. Alright, you will recall that the two cathodes, which are pin 3 and 8, are jumpered together right here. So we've actually got a jumper wire that we're going to remove first. Of course, I'm always discharging the filter caps between every modification. So now I'm going to take this jumper wire out, and we're going to begin the cathode separation. Alright, so I pulled the jumper and then I've secured it. Well, I haven't secured it yet. I put this new yellow wire here on pin 3. I'm going to solder that in, and then we're going to flip the amp back over, and we're going to get the other end of this wire to this turret here. Alright, so we have the amp open again, and here's the yellow wire. Now, I hate cloth wire. I know it's historically accurate, and I just hate it because I can never get clean cuts when I'm stripping it. So I'm going to use a radial because I'm cheap and I'm not gigging with this amp. And the bad part about using these is you need to extend the lead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap another scrap piece of wire around this and extend it so that it can reach the other side of this turret. I'm also going to take this resistor out here, this 820, and we're going to put in two 1.5K. Okay, that 820 is out. Extending the capacitor leads in a hacky kind of way. Again, if I were gigging with this amp, I would order the proper parts and not use these cheap capacitors, but you know, I'm not gigging with it. It's just for fun. So there you go. That's how you increase the lead on a radial. Alright, we now have to put this radial between these 2 points. So we want to make sure that the positive end is this way and the ground is this way. The arrows always point to ground, so we know this side is negative. So we're just going to bend the end of the leads here. Alright, we got that guy in there. No solder yet. So now we're going to work on the 1.5K resistors. Alright, check out that hilarious work there. So we've got our cathode separated, our new resistors in, our new cathode bypass cap. Again, if I was working on a customer amp, I would not have it look anything like this. Everything would be neat and orderly. But since we're just doing this for entertainment, to see how these mods sound, I'm just doing some experimenting. and saving a little bit of money too. So, alright, so let's get this thing plugged up and see if it continues to oscillate. If so, it may be that that resistor off the volume pot was what we needed all along. Alright, now let's see what happens. Plugged in. Turned on. Cool, man. It works. It's just really touchy. So maybe we'll put that resistor in after all, going from the jack, from the volume pot to the jack. Alright, so I did detach the this from this pot here and shortened it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a 580K resistor to it. Now Rob recommends 680, so I would probably say 680 is the perfect value, but you'll have to just experiment here. Hopefully that'll make it a little less touchy. Alright, let's see how it sounds. Serious gain. Alright, that'll do it for that mod. I'm going to close it up. Looks like the way Rob Robinette's mod on this that he set up is perfect for this mod. So follow those directions, and I'll post a link in the description to his website. Here's a demo of the gain channel that we just put together. So here's very little gain. Here's noon. Here's all the way up. Let's compare it to a regular 5E3 overdriven tone. It's just regular. It sounds pretty bad on this amp because I've got some voltage issues. I need to bring the voltage up on the power tubes. But yeah, but you can see how that gain channel trumps. Yeah, I've got an oscillation there if I turn it up too high because I'm not using shielded cable. But yeah, give it a shot. Definitely worth it if you want to play with some higher gain. It's a fun little mod to do. I may try to enhance it in the next video. We will see.